Hey, it's your therapist, Dr. Leonette Lee Copeland, always representing a different perspective. Momentarily, we will be talking about procrastination in this Pushing Towards a Degree series. Make sure that you like and comment below. Please share with me different topics you'd want me to discuss. Also, subscribe. I wouldn't want you to miss new content coming your way. Make sure also that you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and definitely check out my website. Let's get started. All right, to make sure that we're on the same page, let's define this bad boy. Procrastination is the process of delaying or putting off something that needs to be done. It's a human phenomenon, meaning we all procrastinate. We all do it at some point or another. I mean, writing a paper, studying, homework, cleaning, ending relationships, Lord have mercy, giving bad news, setting boundaries, you name it, we've procrastinated with it at some point or another. We're simply wanting to avoid something. We're wanting to avoid feeling something, and therefore we procrastinate. It's a human thing. So, what is that feeling, or what are those feelings or those things that help us to procrastinate? I mean, there are many reasons as to why people do it. So, let's talk about some of the reasons that have come up. We have fearing failure, avoiding conflict, not understanding what you're supposed to be doing or the task. It's unpleasurable, or you're feeling like you lack the tools or the skill set to get it done or to get through. Having too many commitments also helps people to procrastinate, meaning they're spread too thin. And we are not about to play and act like being spread too thin feels good, nor will we try to trick and play ourselves into thinking that the other items listed feel good. I mean, that's the very reason why we procrastinate. We're looking for any distraction that can bring a sense of relief from those items that I listed on the previous slide. It creates a cycle that makes it easy to procrastinate more and more. Unfortunately, we know all too well that when we don't have a handle on the procrastinating behavior or behaviors, we become more stressed and run the risk of engaging in negative cycles of self-defeating thoughts. All right, so let's get into this by looking at this cycle of procrastination illustration that I drew up. Now, this is not for every single person walking and breathing on this earth, but it does represent a lot of people. So boom, we have the daunting task. That's that thing that you want to avoid, you do not have time for, you don't want to make time for it. It's like, you don't want to deal with it because it's producing an emotional reaction. You're not feeling good about this thing. Whatever it is, it just doesn't feel good. Therefore, you're looking for a way to avoid and get out of doing it. You're wanting to do something that's either more pleasurable or just something entirely different. Doing this and staying in that place helps you realize that, oh man, I have less time to deal with this thing. Or, oh goodness, I'm in deeper than what I need to be because I keep letting this thing go on and on. And before you know it, you start beating yourself up. That's engaging in that negative self-talk. Oh, I'm a failure. I always do this. I'll never get it right. I'm such a bad person for letting this thing go on longer than what it should have. You name it, we'll say it. And for many people, the negative self-talk brings about another sense of wanting to avoid, and therefore you engage in yet another task that takes you away from what you could be doing or what you should be doing. It's the cycle. All right, so we just moved through this illustration and it's like, all right, it's laid out, Dr. Copeland, but what do we do with that? How do we break this cycle? Well, everybody in the world will tell you it's obvious that improved time management skills would help, but that's a no-brainer and we're not here for that. Also, asking for help and making sure that you have clarity on the task, that's also like a no-brainer. That can help you procrastinate less if you understand what's ahead of you. But most importantly, we're here to talk about therapy as a resource. How can therapy help? Well, it can help you develop the emotional management skills necessary in breaking the cycle. It's through counseling that you could learn how to tolerate the associated negative emotions, learn how to modify them so you can be successful and procrastinate less. So while there are a myriad of different therapeutic modalities or theoretical orientations that one could use to address this issue of procrastination, I'm just going to keep it real short, simple, and to the point and talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT can help bring awareness to your thoughts and emotions when embarking on a perceived daunting task. This theory is rooted in challenging and changing unhelpful thoughts that impact our behaviors. By examining the ABCs associated with the procrastination, ABC, as easy as, okay, let me get back. By examining the ABCs associated with procrastination, we'll see how we could overcome this issue. ABC, as easy as. Okay. All right. I'm not going to sing anymore. I'm not even going to try. But can we just, for 1 second, just say that that is a really good song? So shout out to Motown. Shout out to Jackson 5. But seriously, the ABCs in CBT stands for A, activating event, B, beliefs, and C, consequences. And let's get into this a little bit more. So A, that activating event, that is that thing, that task, that situation that you're wanting to avoid. The beliefs, right? Why you're wanting to avoid it is because you're believing something about it. And the beliefs about that task or that situation is what's going to keep you from beginning or completing it. So example could be, I don't have what it takes to get this done. It's too big of a task. I don't have all the materials. Or if I leave this person alone who I'm wanting to leave alone, or I should leave alone, then I'm going to be lonely. I will be the worst person ever because I'll ruin their lives by breaking up with them or what have you. If I clean this, it's never going to be clean to the best of whoever might be looking at it. You name it, anything can come up where essentially you are believing something in the negative. You're skewing it to the negative, and you're not necessarily giving yourself the credit for doing it well or being able to do it even at all. The consequences of these beliefs is that it makes you feel bad. It doesn't feel good, and therefore it results in you behaviorally not doing it, or taking your time to even get it started, if even at all. So let's hop back into the beliefs portion of this, because that's where we would probably spend most of our time in therapy towards the beginning, right? And for certain CBT folks, they might use a thought record, thought journal, just different ways of really kind of going through these thoughts in a more detailed way. So I just gave some examples how essentially you will have a belief or a thought about yourself in handling the task that's skewing it towards the negative. So in therapy, we would be focusing in on that and challenging, is that all true? Are we engaging in thinking patterns that are not necessarily reflective of all of the resources and all of the tools that either are available or are within us that we could create? We would sit up there and we would work together and collaboratively go through and say, okay, yes, you may not have what you need right now. Yes, this thing might feel bad because it's supposed to feel bad. It's not an easy decision, or it's not an easy thing ahead of you. But is there the potential that in giving ourselves the space to feel through and think through these things and give yourself space and time and validate that what you feel is real and you have a right to feel it? In doing those things, could we help you get through it? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. If you give yourself more space to see how you could be successful, would that motivate you to possibly get started or finish it, get through it? 9 times out of 10, yes. So essentially, we are going to be spending time really sifting through these beliefs and these thought patterns that might be more so skewed towards the negative, and challenge them and ask ourselves some tough questions, sit in some emotional spaces that will give us the opportunity to move towards a more balanced way of thinking about that particular thing, about that situation, or help us skew a little bit more towards the positive. There is power in us being able to have a more well-balanced or skewing a little bit more towards the positive belief system about a task, because that's where our behaviors start to change. That's where we end up doing something different. i.e., procrastinating less. So, as you would with anything that you're trying to improve on, you have to practice, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I already said I have a problem with this whole procrastination thing with doing work. You want me to add more work? Yes, I certainly do. I want you to try your best to continue being mindful of when you're engaging in that negative thinking so that you can actively challenge yourself and give yourself the opportunity to do something different, which would be procrastinating less. You got this. Practice makes perfect, and I definitely believe in you. All right, so as I'm on my way out, I just want to leave you with these additional pieces that clients and I have discussed over the years that have been helpful to them, including setting a phone alarm, helping you to remind yourself to do that thing, have that conversation, creating a schedule that rewards you for staying on task, as well as making sure that you have positive messages around your space. You can use sticky notes, you can use papers, you can use index cards, anything that will help encourage you to keep going and to do that thing. Things that are statements that you would believe. Changing up your scenery. That also has helped many people get something done that maybe may not be as pleasurable in the beginning. Being aware of your different resources. If you're in school, being aware of campus resources. Also asking folks around you to support and encourage you by either reminding you to do something, inquiring if you finished, I can't even talk, or making sure that they don't invite you out, which would help you to procrastinate more. Whew, we have just finished our first talk on procrastination in the Pushing Towards a Degree series. Thank you for your time. Please like and comment. Share with me additional topics that you'd want me to cover, and I'll be sure to add those to the channel. Be safe, and remember, a different perspective will change your life.